Hi, everyone, and welcome to GRUFFtalk, where each week we take a deep dive into all the ways we can feel better, look better, live better, and age better. I'm your host, Barbara Hannah Grufferman. Oh, all I can say is wow. Wow. I just had a conversation with an incredible woman who had a busy life as a wife and mother and a full career as a lawyer. And then in 2012, she was diagnosed with leukemia. Things really looked dire. And she could have had every right and reason to put that proverbial blanket over her head and stay there, for sure. Instead, what she did with this diagnosis was pretty darn incredible. I think her story will resonate and motivate a lot of you to seize every single day to help make life here on Earth, and especially in our oceans, much, much better. Lynne Fletcher O'Brien, founder of Line in the Sand, is a woman I've been wanting to talk to since I started GRUFFtalk podcast. And finally, it happened. Yay! And I'm really looking forward to sharing this episode with you. So relax, pop in your earbuds, and prepare to be inspired. Stay tuned. My guest is Lynne Fletcher O'Brien, an incredible woman who started an incredible company that has products that are, well, waterwear, which I guess is the more modern way of saying swimwear or swimming suit, or, like my generation still calls it that. But anyway, as she pointed out to me recently, it's not just about going for a swim, but it's about doing all of these other activities that are water adjacent, water related. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about this, because not only are the products beautiful and they protect your skin, which she'll tell us more about, but also they do good for the world. 100%. I believe it's 100%. And Lynn
Yes.
in a minute will kind of confirm that. The profits will go to helping our oceans and also fighting cancer. This is amazingly good. So
Thank you.
welcome to GRUFFtalk, Lynne.
Thank you for having me. Thanks so much.
Oh yeah, this is really fun. I love talking with women entrepreneurs who have kind of unusual backgrounds, and then because of life circumstances, as with you, kind of moved into a different direction. You took a pivot, but related. But you did
Right.
take a pivot into creating this company, I think about 4 years ago. Am I right? Can you tell us the backstory?
Yes, so it is a major pivot. I have no experience in retail or fashion. I'm a lawyer by training, but I worked in healthcare. But then I was diagnosed with leukemia about 11 years ago. And it's a chronic leukemia, CLL. And, very tough to hear that at first, that diagnosis.
Of course.
Especially the first year is sort of watch and wait, and we're not sure what treatment you're going to have. We don't know how serious it is. And it turns out I didn't have great markers and prognosis in that terms, but I didn't need chemotherapy for about 5 years. And now I'm on a drug regimen. I'll tell you about it later. But what was the toughest for me to hear was that you can't be in the sun, or you've got to be really careful in the sun, because you are at much higher risk for melanoma.
Excuse me. I just want to confirm that the doctors told you that you are at, and others are at a
Yes.
higher risk for melanoma if you have this form of cancer,
Yes.
and if you're on chemotherapy, just to confirm.
Just basically because of the cancer.
Got it.
And
I didn't
specifically
realize
this
that.
type of cancer. And actually, and on top of that, both my parents have had melanomas, my grandparents. So I was already at risk.
Wow.
But having this cancer, they said this kind of leukemia, or this type, there are a couple types of leukemia, you're at more risk just because of your immune system and different factors in your body. So I thought, at first I sort of panicked, like, not only am I not going to live long, but which is not true. Now I feel like I can see the future, but not only that, I can't be outside and do the things I love when I'm not working. So that's sort of the backstory. And I started looking for all kinds of products. I literally all over the world. And I knew that Australia has a great, they're sort of ahead of us with skin protection. I ordered all kinds of things. But what I found is either things were very tiny in size or they were neon colors, like sort of the neon highlighter
pink.
colors.
Yes.
And although I am wearing, this is our brightest color, but most of ours are not as bright. And also they would show, for example, swim leggings, which is a concept I have to sell, not just my own, but the concept of wearing leggings in the water. But they would show swim leggings maybe with a bikini top. And I will say that at the same time with the skin, melanoma problem, everyone comes to a point where they just don't feel that comfortable in a bathing suit. And it's not body positivity or body shaming. I just feel like if I'm out with neighbors, or even let's say my husband had work trips and I'm basically in my bra and underwear with people I don't know very well.
Yep.
Right?
I totally get that.
I don't feel comfortable in a bathing suit anymore. I just thought there's got to be an alternative. And it was really hard to find some. I mean, there are this sort of, it was on Sports Illustrated. I saw the burkini. That was after I had started this. But, if women are modest and want to cover up, but there weren't really things that you could cover up and be very active. And I wanted to create something that I basically call sort of athletic wear that you can wear in the water. It's made for the water. But obviously, like this dress I'm wearing, you could play pickleball or what.
I love that color.
You.
I mean, Barbie.
Thank you. I know that's why I'm wearing it. That's why I'm wearing it right now, because I pulled it out and I thought this is the month for pink.
Yes.
But I really had to scour and I ordered everything in sight, and there was still nothing I really wanted to wear. I mean, sure, I found maybe a rash guard I could wear over a bathing suit, but I thought, let's do it. I'm going to figure out how to do this. And
amazing.
I wanted to have the give back component too. And I sort of, in my mind, I thought I want to be like Sarah Blakely, who makes Spanx, who has transformed things. I want to be Paul Newman, who gives away his profits. Because when I go to the grocery, if I see Greek salad dressing and I see Paul Newman's, I'm going to buy Paul Newman's, knowing that the profits 100% are going somewhere.
Right.
So I thought of that. And I thought sort of with a Tory Burch flair, like a little more upscale looking and a little more for women, maybe not in their 20s.
Right.
Necessarily. And now I'm a Tory Burch fellow, which is really fun because I always had sort of her style in mind. One more thing I should add is I thought it was for an older woman, but we're finding it's not. My daughter just moved from 4 years in Hawaii and is a surfer and wears rocks a bikini, but she's worried about her skin too. So she wears our things. Exactly. And all of her friends, if you're out surfing for hours, you can't be in a bikini. You've got to cover your shoulders, your back, your legs. So I'm finding that younger women are buying our product too. It's not just for menopausal women, let's say.
Right. But we do know that, God, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I remember going to the beach and I'm blonde and blue-eyed, I'm fair-skinned, and just rubbing baby oil mixed with iodine
we did the same
over
thing.
And my face, but all over my body. And at
aluminum
the
foil.
beach, then took a reflector and used that on my face. I mean, I would be burned to a crisp. And of course, we all thought, oh, doesn't that look grand? Or we would use the Bain de Soleil that smelled so good. That's one of the kind of smell memories I have of my teen years and tween years. And of course, all of those burns that I got and everybody in my generation got, they're coming back to kick us in the butt now. I have not had melanoma, thank goodness, so far, please. But I have had basal cell at least 3 times with Mohs surgery required,
and I had it on my head,
including on my leg. So to your point about the pants, I couldn't agree with you more for like everything that you said. Yes, I mean, I don't feel as confident or happy in a bathing suit like I did. But more importantly, because another part of me says, like, what do I care? But more importantly is the skin protection element. I have to say, it is top of mind. So I do wear rash guards and things that are sold to surfers, for example.
Right.
And I do find that I'm wearing like more skirt type things over my, and when I'm sitting down, I don't bask anymore. I don't know anybody who does that.
I don't even like the way it feels. Right.
I usually cover up my legs with a towel if I'm just sitting there
I do the
under
same
an
thing.
umbrella.
And I'm also hot with direct sun.
Yeah.
Like I feel better wearing this than with the sun on my skin.
Right.
And I would say, the first time we can talk about the history, but the first time I had a sample and I walked down the beach in my leggings, like do you feel good in your yoga pants? Because I do.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, I live in this is not a plug for Athleta by any means, but
Right.
I live in Athleta. I'm wearing an Athleta thing right now. Yeah.
Right. And I'm the same. And the minute I had my first swim leggings on with a rash guard that's pretty fitted, and I walked down the beach, I thought this is the first time in decades that I haven't been self-conscious, because usually I would have a towel wrapped around me or wrapped around my waist to cover my legs, just for that factor. But now feeling like I'm also cooler when I wear it. The sun's not beating down. And I thought, I think I'm onto something. And that was just the very beginning when I had a few samples.
Yep. Interesting thing you said about cooling down, because I'm a runner and I'm training for the New York City Marathon again.
Oh, wow.
And, so training in the summer in our part of the world is tricky, especially recently
Right.
with the heat wave. Thank goodness it's settled down right now, but it's hot.
What do you wear?
Right. So I find I do wear little running skirts with a lot of sunscreen on my legs, because wearing pants, or sometimes, but I often wear my long Lululemon running pants,
Right.
the compression pants that come down to almost my ankle. So I switch on and off. But the thing is, with the top, I always wear something white and over my tank top, because it actually, not only does it protect my skin, but it also cools me down by covering your skin.
It does.
It's logical when you look at the Arab countries, for example. They all are wrapped around in a lot of material, and there's a reason for that. It's all very logical.
There is a reason for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us about your company, which is Line in the Sand.
Right.
Really incredible. And it is dedicated to supporting, which is so wonderful, the health of our oceans. They do need a lot of help, as we know, and also fighting cancer. Certainly, I'm assuming because of your own personal experience. But talk to us about your production and materials and that are used in your waterwear line. And are they eco-friendly? Are they sustainable? Like, is that a part of your whole model as well?
Yeah. So I had I was brainstorming about this, and I did a lot of research. And it's funny, the name came to me sort of in the middle of the night.
It's a good name. Line in the Sand.
Thank you. Well,
it's great.
And I had to really you think about it, what I was going to name it, but it came to me like, I'm not going to stay out of the water. I'm not going to be embarrassed to be in a bathing suit. I'm not going to burn my skin. Like, I'm going to draw my line in the sand. And then I also thought, I've got to leave the world a better place too. So it was sort of like, this is ridiculous. I would go walking on the beach every morning. We have this great lighthouse I can walk out to, and I would bring a plastic bag with me that I would find. First of all, I wouldn't even need to bring a bag half the time. I'd find these bags and I'd be clearing up trash, balloons and bottles and ropes. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous.
That's
everywhere I
horrible.
go, I even went with my son on a trip to Costa Rica, and we were on this remote little river, and there was plastic hanging on all the trees. The whole way down the river.
It's heartbreaking.
It's horrible. And I thought, we got to do something about this.
Yes.
I'm going to draw the line in the sand on this. We've got to, if we don't protect our oceans, it's the majority of the world is water, not land, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to start there. And then, of course, the cancer. I've been very involved in those causes.
Yeah.
And I thought they don't necessarily sound like they would go together, but in my mind, they do. And I just had this thought of, let's have this give back. And I want to do this right. If I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. And so we have sought, well, first of all, we're anti-plastic, right?
Yes.
So we have a water bottle, and, it's kind of quaint. I go back to in 2020, when it was right before COVID, I thought, New Year, I put a sticker in our refrigerator and said, no water bottles in 2020. Little did I know what we were in for with COVID. But that was sort of, okay, I'm going to take this step for my family. We're not going to use any single-use plastics.
Right.
And then I thought, well, if I'm going to do that with my company, I really sort of found the fabric first. And this fabric is made in Italy out of recycled plastics and waste.
Brilliant.
And it's such a soft, beautiful fabric. And I thought it's a little more expensive, but I'm not going to buy something that is cheaply made. And even a lot of fabric that is recycled, made of recycled plastic, has little beads that go into the system. So I thought, I'm going to find that one product that is good. And it's this brand called Carvico. And even the factory, the way they're run. I know, exactly. I'm dying to go visit the factory, but I can't find a reason yet. But
I have a reason.
I know. Let's just go.
The factory.
I know. That's another, right? We got to live for today. Another thing.
Absolutely.
But
sorry to interrupt.
But it's so well done there. And even the way their whole system of reusing the water and cooling it down. And I started there. And then I wanted to find factories that had good practices, fair wages. And, there's a lot that goes into it and a lot that you have to look at with fast fashion now.
Yes. Yeah, that's a thing. And not a good thing. Yeah.
No, and I just wanted to do it right. And even our packaging, the bags that it comes inside the box are recyclable. We don't use plastic. We keep track of our carbon footprint and shipping. I really just wanted to do things right. But even our zipper, when we started, that's a whole nother story because it was 2020. And of course, our fabric was held up in Italy when we were about to go in production, because you remember how they closed down right after China.
Do. Yep.
So at that time, we were going to be the first people. This is a recycled zipper. And it was the first one that was going to be used in the US. And now other people are using it. But I thought, let's make the whole thing as eco-friendly as we can. So I'm really proud of that. And even we have this.
Should be. Really, as you should be. And you've created such beautiful things that look fabulous on. In fact, what you're wearing right now, getting back to that, the Barbie dress, let's call it the Barbie dress for today.
Right.
It's just so great. And I could picture myself, I go back and forth between New York City and Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I often walk my dog on the beach, and I'm very careful about covering myself up properly with the rash guard and all that, but I'd like to have something a little more stylish. I could see wearing that dress for all of my walks around the neighborhood with the dog and on the beach. And so
absolutely.
I'm assuming that dress is really quite popular, but do you have, what are your most popular things?
I didn't think it would be this dress, but it flies off the shelf. And we keep making more colors, and you can't do it overnight. It's not as, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure
supply
the hard
chain,
way, especially
and
during
the hard
COVID.
Way.
Oh my
during
gosh.
COVID, supply chain, getting thread, getting zippers. We've had every shipping mishap you can imagine. But yes, this has been our most popular item by far. And I think because it's versatile. And, we had Katie Couric wore it, and then she's worn it a couple of times. And it was in Oprah magazine, as it said under, they had things for large women or big breasted women or tiny women. And ours was under something, it just said stroke of genius.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought,
I'm going to make sure I add the links to all of those things you just told me in the show notes for sure. People should see that. That's great.
Great. And Katie Couric, she promotes things a lot for me, which is great. She just loves it. And this week she had something about the top purchases of summer. And one was this dress, and one is a linen dress that we're actually making in Europe. But it has all kinds of certifications for the linen and the production. So that's been. And not everyone cares about that, but I do. And I think people, if they're looking for it, it's hard to find a dress. And our dress, it sort of looks like that Frank and Eileen dress,
which
but
I love.
It's a lot less money. I love that
shirts.
too. I have everything in their line, but ours is
do you have the
a little bit different.
Also?
We don't have pants. We just have the.
Do you have their pants, the Frank and Eileen pants?
Yes, I personally do. I love them.
I haven't gotten those yet, but if you recommend them, I will consider it.
Yes, they're fabulous. And so I do wear this. It's like a shirt dress that could be a beach cover up, because not everybody wants to be sporty. Someone told me that early on. I know it's for water women and you want to be active and not have a malfunction with your bathing suit, but she said, I just want to have protection on the beach. Right. So I do have that linen top.
Not everybody goes to the beach and just sits there and basks in the sun, as we were talking about before. Because when I'm in Virginia, because I'm so close, walking distance to the beach, I don't go for the whole day. I'll just go for an hour with my book under an umbrella, and I won't even wear a bathing suit. So that's a perfect thing to wear. Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Well, and we say that it can go from, beach to bar or whatever. Yep. And I've played golf in it. I've played pickleball in it, or in our leggings. So there's a lot you can do. But I think like some of your athletic pants, maybe you probably wouldn't swim in. So I feel like ours starts with the water.
Yes.
And it's funny, I've noticed a trend on my Instagram and what's being brought to my attention, but I'm seeing a lot now for the first time, people saying like a skirt, because we also have a skirt, a skirt for swimming or a dress. So I do think it's catching on, and I'm not afraid of the competition. I like it because I think the more people are accepting that you don't have to wear a bathing suit and you can wear leggings or, sleeveless or a long sleeve, fashionable looking rash guard, I think it's good for everyone.
Oh, definitely is.
So,
Definitely is. I'm really intrigued by the skirt because that's pretty much what I wear when I rotate my running pants. It's a skirt, or it's the running pants that cover up really most of my legs. And I'm a big fan of skirts, really, they're just incredible. And to be able to wear a skirt actually in the water, it's a great idea.
It's great.
Yeah.
And
I like paddleboarding, so it's
places.
like a perfect thing.
That's how it started. I'm here in Cape Cod right now, and I paddleboard. And I thought, I don't have to be paddleboarding in a bathing suit. I feel so much better with the leggings and top on. Just, comfort, sun. And, you don't want your top falling off, or if you fall in the water, which I do, your bathing suit falling down or that kind of thing.
Off.
And
I mean, that's just like a horrible experience to have that we've all had. I remember one time I got knocked by a wave, not here, it was actually a New York beach. And a friend of mine was on the beach while I was in the water. And all of a sudden, I was pretty far out too. That's when I was fearless. It may have been before Jaws, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. And all of a sudden I see her on the beach going, and I'm like, ah, and then bang, I got hit by this massive wave out of nowhere.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember tumbling, lost an earring. And of course, I was wearing a two-piece, like one was over my head. It was, it was a memorable experience that I don't want to repeat ever.
Funny. Well, I do paddleboard. I've also been trying with limited success to kiteboard. Have you seen that? So that, again, you're under force in the water and holding on, and
that's all about the wind, right? I mean, it's
all about the wind.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much strength; it's really more finesse with the kite. But when you're starting, you're in the water and it pulls you up, and it's just great to have this clothing for me. So
absolutely. So you're very active
sailing,
in the water.
Boating.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Absolutely makes sense. About paddleboarding, you did say that you fall in. The first time I went paddleboarding was a few years ago, and I happened to be in the Cayman Islands, a nice little trip that we took with our daughter. It was a lovely, lovely trip. And that was my first time paddleboarding. And the guy said to me, he gave me the board and he said, all you need to know is this one thing: never look down. If you look down, you'll fall. If you don't look down, you won't fall.
Right.
And I kept that in my head. I've never fallen. I mean, I haven't gone a billion times by any means, but I've never fallen. Only when I tried to do yoga one time, I got all fancy schmancy and did yoga, lifted the legs.
Yes.
Of course I fell.
I've tried that. I fall, well, we have a strong current in certain areas and then waves. But you're right, if I look down. But I've got to remember that. Yeah,
never look down.
Never look down.
There's a fish come. Don't look.
Don't look.
Don't look.
That's so great.
So collaborations, I don't know, are you planning anything like that to kind of help your brand build and build and build your...
Right. We have had various collaborations. I think I'm starting to focus more on just making it ourselves. But we have had, like, Lingua Franca, they have these, it's these beautiful cashmere sweaters made in New York, and they have an expression on the front or sort of a political statement sometimes. And we had a sweater that said "Make Waves," which we loved, and that sold out. And we've done something with people ask about men's. We don't really have many men's except for T-shirts and rash guards, but we are selling Fair Harbor, which is another company that has sort of values like we do. But more of the collaborations, or maybe that's not the right word, is just working with these organizations that we partner with. Like Sea Legacy is one of my favorites. They're National Geographic photographers, and their whole mission is protecting the ocean, and we've been making a uniform for them.
So you actually work with or partner with several different not-for-profits, I'm assuming, for both ocean health as well as cancer. Yes,
and some of the cancer ones, of course, the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Mm-hmm. Stand Up to Cancer. We've given to Prevent Cancer Foundation and Cancer Support Community. And right now we're even working with this great organization in California that's for young cancer survivors, like young adults. And it's a great way if we're running low on certain inventory that I'm just giving them product. It's great product. We're just running out of certain sizes. So we try to do, for me, I think what's more important at the end of the day, and my husband's been very supportive of this because we've had ups and downs, but you're getting the message out. We're helping people that really need it. I mean, I do get letters from women every week that are just keep me going. Like, you've changed my life having this, and it's not just the coast. People buy it who live by lakes or who
absolutely,
are, in the Midwest,
not by water
who are
at all. I mean,
gardening.
It's really just being outside and living an active life. Hopefully, if you're not a runner, you're a walker, or maybe now a pickleball player. Exactly. Be careful of all those injuries you can get.
I know. My sister had one. No, and that's another exciting thing. In the fall, we have coming out a new skirt and then also a pickleball dress that will have built-in shorts. But
that's great.
Making sure it's not heavy so you can swim in it. And one dress with a built-in bra. So we have a couple of new products coming. But I think what's, the best thing is, I was saying, just how we have people saying, feel free for the first time. Or I have a neighbor who said she hasn't gone to the beach in 20 years, and she shows up every day and she rocks this outfit in her leggings and the rash guard with long sleeves. And I think that's the best collaboration for me.
Best just collaboration.
Listening to our customers and really listening to what they want and getting that message out. And even we do have a lot of people who are Middle Eastern or, for religious reasons need to cover up. And I have this one beautiful model. She's an elite with the Elite Modeling Agency. And she happened to just buy the product. And I, somehow she wrote to me and I looked her up and I realized she was a model, and I sent her a few more things. And she lives in our clothes. I mean, and she's stunning in them. And she said, it's really beautiful clothing that I can be outside and it's not so heavy and so many layers. And she looks beautiful, but she's covered up, which she needs to be. And we learned from her, like some of our tops have sheer. And she said, I can't really have the styles that have sheer on the leggings or tops. So I thought that, I'm learning all the time. And I thought we've got to make sure we always have products that don't have the sheer, which we did for cooling reasons.
Right.
And I hadn't thought about the covering up aspect.
Right.
But it's exciting.
No,
and
that's
definitely
really
working.
Exciting. I mean,
and working with these organizations is great too. Like just sort of getting our name out that way. Giving them money for their whatever, project they're working on. And then it helps us. And I spoke to this male CEO of a very large clothing company. I won't say which one, but he was saying, I don't see what you're doing at all. Why would you? He says, I don't care where you give the money. I just want a good product. And when I buy a Rolex, I don't care where the money goes. But for me, I thought, if he thinks like I do, I'm more inclined to buy something if I know where the money's going. And maybe that's me, but I guess it's my company, right? I can do that.
You can do whatever the heck you want.
Whatever I want. And it's not, I thought if I'm going to give away, at a certain point, I thought the 1%, 10%, no, we are all in. And I thought that's going to distinguish us from people. And hopefully that will be a reason for them to buy from us too.
Yeah, I mean, that's really incredible. So I said in the intro that you were going to confirm that it is 100%.
Yes, it is.
It's incredible.
It is. And we didn't always make a profit. And at that point, we were just giving money from that we were bringing in, right, which isn't really the smartest way to do business. But I knew hanging in for the long term that it would work out. And, this year I was, as I said, a Tory Burch Fellow. And I really learned because I've never run a business.
A Tory Burch Fellow. Can you tell us what that means?
Yes. So we had to apply for it. And, Tory Burch started her company, but her main desire was to create a company that had a foundation,
right,
which most people don't do, which was really neat when I saw that we had similar, our goals were aligned.
Yes.
But what they do is you apply, and every year they pick 50 fellows and give you extensive training and help and advice. And I didn't get it the first year that I applied. And then I thought, okay, I'll tuck in my tail and, tail between my legs and apply again. And I was chosen, and it's just a great group of women, and we would learn everything. I mean, again, I was a lawyer. I don't have the financial background or how to manage social media. I mean, here I am doing Instagram and social media, how to do Shopify, how to budget for inventory. I mean, I didn't even know anything about production. So
it's a lot.
But it's great. I mean, I know you talk a lot about menopause and those sorts of issues on your podcast. And for me at this age, I'm 61 now, to have this new career and something that gets me out of bed every day, it's really fun.
You know what? That is probably the most important thing that women, well, no, I want them to take away a lot of things from our conversation,
Right.
of course, but that is so critical to our long-term health and well-being, mental health and physical health. It all works together. Having a
Right.
goal in life, having a reason to get up every day. We know it's science-backed that this is critical to aging better, which is really everything I talk about.
It's kind of fun because all the women that I work with are younger than I am and know all this. They're so much more tech savvy. But my mentor and my advisor is Kay Unger, who you know Kay Unger.
I saw that on your website. Yeah.
Yes, I was introduced to her. A friend of mine said, you have to meet her. And I said, I was in New York. I said, oh my gosh, I can't meet with Kay Unger. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I literally said no, because I didn't know a hang tag versus all the just so many words. And so then the next 6 months later, I thought, all right, well, I'll meet with her and I will try to hold it together and sound, like I know what I'm doing. And she's just been incredible. But she, proudly says she's, I think, 78 now. And she has more energy than I do, or my daughter. She is up all night. She is working hard on all kinds of causes. And so for me, it's been this new friendships, and I'm just inspired not only by Kay, but these younger women. And in the Tory Burch group, I was probably the oldest. There were maybe two of us, and the next, age group was in their 20s and 30s,
We can all learn from each other. That's another really important, I think, tool that we should all kind of keep in our back pockets, is having that intergenerational, or having those intergenerational relationships, like older people, younger people. We learn from all different ages and all different people, different perspectives, different lenses. Yeah, it's important.
It's been great.
Wow,
and
wonderful
it's
opportunity for you.
Yeah,
how does that work? So you have 1 year of this training?
So 1 year. So I just finished. We had our in-person event in June in New York. We were there that week with the fires in New York. So that was kind of interesting.
Wow.
And some of the women had never been to New York, and they weren't just in fashion. It could be, we had someone who makes these tracks for the ground so that a wheelchair can go over the sand or the, your yard. And we had women making liquor or coffee or, just all kinds of consultants.
I just was assuming it was only fashion related. Oh, I
thought it would be
wonderful.
Too. It was really fun.
Good
and just
for
to meet
her.
everyone. And she spoke. And I mean, that's what gets her up every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, running a fabulous company, but they do amazing things for women in her foundation and high school students and everything else. So it was a huge honor to be a part of that. It was really fun.
Yeah,
and I learned so
you.
much. I'm like a sponge, because this is, I worked, in government, and I worked, for Biden, for the cancer Moonshot.
Thank you. I was going to bring it up next. Can you just tell us about that past experience for then Vice President Biden?
Right. I mean, it was phenomenal. And there was a very small team, but sometimes I felt a little bit like Robert De Niro in The Intern, that movie, because again, I was the oldest person, and they're saying, oh, can you put together an Excel spreadsheet doing this? It was just a lot of things that I had to learn in that regard. But again, the younger women, I felt like I mentored them. They taught me, but it was an unbelievable year. And that's really, I was already on the board of Leukemia Lymphoma Society, but it really propelled me in the cancer world.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did is, my role was helping sort of everyday Americans get involved in fighting cancer. And also we were trying to bring organizations together. Like, for example, sunscreen. We had a sunscreen manufacturer give away free sunscreen in the city of Miami. We had all these projects around the country. Or it might be, LLS committed to $5 million for AML, which is the toughest cancer, toughest leukemia. And so it was that sort of thing of bringing in, we were trying to break down the silos and bring people from all industries together. And we were making a ton of progress. And of course, then, Biden and Obama were out of office, we didn't think that Hillary Clinton was going to lose. We thought it would be continued. And it's back, without getting too political, but it is back now to some extent with Biden as president. I mean, they have a number of people working on these issues and trying to keep it going. But a lot of it was going on in the private sector. I mean, the one thing I was proudest of was helping bring cancer care to the Navajo Nation. And we went out there and saw this center being opened. And even after Biden was in office, this work continued with Cancer Support Community. That was one organization.
Wasn't it the first one?
First one, yes.
Very impressive.
You remember
Lynne.
that? Yes. And it was amazing. And I went out there and, we had the ribbon cutting and saw it. And we had these doctors. And that, again, was before COVID. And a lot of people in the Navajo Nation died of COVID.
Yeah.
And it was very sad. But up until then, I mean, first of all, they were on contaminated land. If they had, more likely to get cancer. And then if they had it, there was nowhere to go. They would have to drive hours, which of course they don't have the money to do that, and car. And what do you do with your kids? So it was just an incredibly fulfilling thing all around. Plus, getting to do the Christmas party at the White House. I mean, all the little extras were very cool too.
A little perk.
Yeah. And again, it was like an energizing type thing, late in my 50s to have this. I hadn't worked in an office in a long time. I was raising my kids and doing volunteer work at their school and on boards, but to actually go into an office every day, it was incredible learning experience. And I hope I gave back as well, but I definitely got a lot out of it.
Lynne, you gave back and you continue to give back with your company and everything else that you're doing. There really should be more people like you. Right now I'm feeling like, I should be doing much more than I'm doing. But, that's motivating. It's like, okay,
right.
I've got to get back on track with a lot of that.
Right. You do a lot by educating women and calming us down in menopause. So thank you for that.
And after.
I've watched you before. Yes.
I'm way beyond menopause, but thank you for that. But this has been incredible. I have been keeping a couple of notes, links I want to make sure I include in the show notes. So everyone take a look at those for more information, of course, about the company Line in the Sand. But Lynne, before I let you go, and we really covered so much, are there like 3 things, I always like to ask my guests that you want to make sure women remember, and some men, I have men listening in too, that the GRUFFtalk audience should remember from our conversation today? Well, great. Yeah. Well, I mean, the number one thing, whether you buy our product, you don't have to. You've got to protect yourself from the sun, protect your skin, you got to wear a hat. I had the Mohs surgery on my head. You've got to wear a hat, sunscreen, and cover up. I guess number 2 is don't hold back from getting out there, doing what you love to do without letting a bathing suit hold you back. I know so many people that don't go to the beach because they don't want to wear, what are they going to wear, or don't want to pack for vacation. So just get out there. Or don't want to paddleboard, or try surfing, or, fill in the blank, some other activity, right? Right. That would be 2. And I guess 3 is just check out some of these organizations that I love and that I've really culled through that I think are making the biggest difference in cancer in the ocean. And I'll give you those links. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, this was great. I am so thrilled for you for all of your successes, for being a Tory Burch Fellow. Great opportunity, and really everything else you've done. And I want to actually thank you. I want to thank you for all the good work that you're doing. Really, thank you. Well, thank you. And thanks back to you for having me in, for all that you do. All right. You'll come back on again, right? Absolutely. Thank you, Lynne. Okay. Take care. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode of GRUFFtalk, please do 2 things. First, share it with all your friends and family, and subscribe to GRUFFtalk wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube, so you never miss a single episode. Until next time, remember this: we can't control getting older, but we can control how we do it. Talk to you soon. Age Better Podcast is a proud member of the Sound Advice Network. Sound Advice, women's voices amplified.